In our last class, we discussed about strings, and today we'll be discussing about integers and how to use some math operations in Java. We already know about integers being numbers. So, our normal math operations are like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So, we'll try to add two variables together, and remember what I stated in our previous class. So we need our data type first, which is int, and then we can say number one, and then can give the value to be, so this number one is our variable and the value will be 2, and then we can say number int number 2, and let's say the value is 3. So remember what I stated, that our variable name can be anything, right? Can be sum, addition, anything you want. But our data type, if it's actually numbers, we need to signify by using int. Okay, so we can say int, so we can say int sum is equal to num1 plus num2. So we're actually having an error here, I think, because we've used this before, so that's why. So we have to just take down all this, so we have a neat space here. Okay, so we'll print this out, then we'll run our code. So this is 5. We could actually divide this. This is 0. So the reason why we're having 0 is because integers are more like whole numbers. You can't get the point, right? When I mean the points, you can't get, let's say, 0 point something. But if you need maybe the decimal number, you could actually change this to floats, and then change this to floats, and then this to floats. So if you print it out, you get the full decimal value, right? But when we get to float, we'll discuss about this. But currently what we're looking at is integers, right? So integers, usually there is no decimal point attached to the numbers, so we could actually still use subtraction for this. You could do division, addition, subtraction. You could also multiply. Okay, so we've actually looked at addition, multiplication, division, and so there's something we call modulo, and I know you must have seen this in your maths class or so. You call it percentage, but in Java we call it modulo. That's remainder. So let's say you want to get the remainder of a value. Let's change this to let's say this is 5, and we know that if 5 divided by 3 That's more like we're having one um sorry, if 5 divided by 3, that's more like we're having one remainder, 2, if I'm correct. So let's try to divide this. So we want to get the reason why we're using the modulo is to get the remainder, right, after division. So you add this here. So certainly our remainder should be 2. So we'll run our code now. Okay, which is this. So let's say if we're using 10 here, 10 divided by 5, we know 10 divided by 5 is 2, and certainly there won't be any remainder, so we'll be getting 0 as our remainder because there is no remainder. So that's how you use your modulo. So if you want to get the remainder after division, use your modulo for it. So the next thing we'll be looking at after the modulo is to get the minimum value from two numbers. Let's say we have we already have our 10 and 5. So we know that the minimum value here is 5. So we have two values and then we want to get the minimum value. So what we can do here is to say math dot min. So we need to, if you notice, it's actually indicating either an integer, a long, a float, or a double. So we need two values. So we can say int a, the first integer we can say num1, the second is num2. So if we print sum, we already know that 5 is the minimum number between those two. So let's say we want to get the maximum number. You get 10. So let's say if we change this to, let's say if we change this to 15 and want to get the maximum number, it's going to print out 15 because 15 is the maximum number. So in a section again, we also have what we call apps in math operation. It's, so let me just write this down. This is apps. So that's when you want to get the absolute value. So let's say this is minus 10, and then you say math dot apps, and then let's write num1. So let's just change this to absolute. And then you print out your absolute. So you notice that the absolute value of minus 10 is 10. So let's say I want to get the absolute value of num2, which is 15. Certainly the absolute value of 15 is 15. So in a situation whereby you want to round up your number. Let's say your number is in um, decimal points, right? So we know that in scenarios whereby we have 10 points, sorry, like I stated, right, that sorry, we'll have to dive in a little into double or float, because remember what I stated, when you're using your decimal point, it's either a double or a float. So let's say we want to round up this 10.7, so we have to change this 2 to double. So if we want to print out um, um, an integer using a double, we have to either convert the integer to a double or a double to an integer. So so let's say we want to get the rounded figure. So to get the rounded figure, it's going to be math dot round. So if you notice, you can see it's float and double that stated, meaning that the only data type you can round up is usually float and your double. You can't round up your int due to the fact that your int does not come with a decimal point. Always note this: your double and your float are decimal points, but your int is just a whole number without a decimal point. So once we round up this 10.7, so say number 1, and then we'll have to print out rounded figure. So let's print this out. So you notice this is 11. So what if in a situation whereby we change this to 2? So we know that when you're rounding your figure, you either need from 5 and above to round up. So if you try printing it, you see that it's still 10 because you can't round up 2 to a whole number. So let's say we change this to 5. So it can actually be rounded up to 11. So another thing again is, let's say you want to print out random numbers, right? So let's say you just want to print out random numbers. So you could just say you could change this to random. So you just want to get random numbers. Let's say random. So you say maths dot random, and then you print out random. So we just got a random number now. So another thing again is in math operation is power. So if you've actually attended math classes, you must have heard about power. That's raised to power of this. Let's say 2, for example, 2 raised to power of 2 is 4. That's 2 times 2. Let's say 3 raised to power 3 is 3 times 3 times 3. And then okay, so let's just start with, let's change this to 3, and let's change this to 3, change this to int, because we're actually concentrating more on our integer data type for today. So let's say power So if you notice, when I'm talking about power, I'm talking about this symbol. So this is 3 raised power 3. 3 raised power 3. So that's what we're trying to get right now. So we could say math dot power. So basically, okay, so just say 3. Let's say num1, num2. Okay, so if you notice we're having an error, that's because it's indicating that when we want to get the power of a value, right, it's supposed to be in double. So we have to change this to double. And then double. So once again, I know you'll be asking yourself, okay, we've said double needs to come with a decimal point, but you just understand that the computer already understands that this is double and there is supposed to be 0 attached to it at the end. So your computer automatically does it for you, right? But it's just remember it's int, right? Since int does not come with a decimal point, the computer does not automatically convert your integers to doubles, right? So it doesn't matter if you add 0.0 to your 3 here, your system already knows that this is double and then there's an invisible 0.0 attached to it. So the next thing we have to print now is our power. So if you notice, the error has gone. So we run our code. Which is 27. So now for us to be sure that this is correct, right, we could actually say double power 2 is equal to 3 times 3 times 3. So you know this is still the same thing as 3 raised to power 3. So we say power 2. So check if we're going to get the same value. So you see 27. So let's say we want to get 2 power 2. And then we change this to power. So we know 2 power raised to power 2 is 2 times 2, which is 4. So we got 4. So that's how to either get the minimum number, to get a random number, to get your maximum number, to round up numbers, and to get your power. And then the next one we should look at is so look at square root. So for example, we know that the square root of 9 is 3. So now let's say we want to get the square root of this number 9. So you go here, change this to dots square. So if you notice, it's actually indicating double, so meaning that we can't use our integer for this. So you say num 1, and then you print. So let's just change this to square of numbers. So I know some you might be wondering why I'm using a capital letter here and then a capital and small letter. So in Java, right, there's what we call camel case, which is used when naming variables, right, in Java. So usually start with the small letter followed by the capital letter. So we'll just take this out and then print square names. So that's it. 9 square root of 9, which is 3. So there are other things you could actually learn with Java, some math operations which I want you to learn on your own, like the log and the tan, the cos, all this. You could actually learn them on your own. So in our next class, we'll be looking at how to use Boolean data type, and then we'll be looking at Boolean and character data type. So thanks once again. See you in the next class.